There's something about anime that really grabbed me when I was a kid back in the early 2000s. Whether it was the art style or the epicness of the anime, I was always fascinated. Although anime was originally released in Japan, there have been Western localizations with dialogue that sounds totally different, but they're just as good as the original Japanese dub, whether it be Ocean or Funimation or even 4K TV. So here I will take you through the top 7 anime I watched as a kid, and top 7 anime that made me feel a little nostalgic. First up is Samurai Pizza Cats. I don't think I was around in the 1990s when this was released, but this was a pretty good start for westernizing anime. Well, at least that's what Saban had in mind when they localized the anime. Originally licensed by Tatsunoko, who were also the creators of the Time Boken series, Yatterman, Speed Racer, and other anime back in the 1980s. These came to be some of the cheesiest yet funniest English dubs I had ever heard. Samurai Pizza Cats was considered to feel more like a cartoon than an anime here in the US, due to its wacky Animaniacs-esque dialogue. To me, this sounded pretty cringy and out of place in this anime, but I'm glad it became a classic among fans of Western anime localization. This anime was also localized by the same people who did the Power Rangers series, as well as the dub for Time Boken and Flint the Time Detective, which I've discovered recently. But its style is what captured my eye even when I first watched it. The art style kind of reminded me a bit of Ito Rangers, although I doubt it's made by the same team. Up next we have Dragon Ball. Just as comedic as the Samurai Pizza Cats in the West, Saban was also responsible for bringing the comedic Western dub of another 90s anime series that happened to succeed that. This anime too was packed with the wacky comedy elements mixed in with a little Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan style martial arts action. There were also notable cameos which were from Toriyama's previous manga and anime and other pop culture references too. The series was mostly inspired by Journey to the West, a story from China that stars a monkey. But the series stars a young boy named Goku who travels the Earth along with a teen girl named Bulma, who are also joined by Krillin, Yamcha, Oolong, Puar, and Master Roshi in search of the mystical Dragon Balls that can grant any wish once all 7 of them are united. Of course, they're up against a trio of villains known as the Pilaf Gang, who consist of a ninja dog Shu, the Imperial Agent Mai, and their leader Pilaf. This of course pays homage to the Time Boken trio throughout the Time Boken series. You also learn a little bit about Goku's past as the story goes on, and witness the martial arts tournaments that take place in between different arcs. I'd say more about this, but go watch the original Dragon Ball if you haven't yet. It is so good. Because as much people love watching Dragon Ball Z, the original Dragon Ball still has its comedic charm today. Saban originally dubbed the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, but Funimation took the localization to a whole new level of over 9,000. You know what I mean. Up next, we have Sailor Moon. In the same way that Dragon Ball Z came to popularize the shonen anime genre, along with the cult classics like Fist of the North Star and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Sailor Moon was popularized by the shoujo genre, even in the West. The voices may sound a little cheesy, but hey, it's the 90s. It was actually worth watching. It was also still comedic to hear. The series stars a schoolgirl known as Usagi who transforms into the mighty Sailor Moon in order to save the world from the forces of evil. She also has the other pretty guardians accompanying her, like Sailor Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter. There's even Sailor Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto, and Neptune. Those are only a few to name though. Their names are derived from the different planets of the solar system. Although it's been a while since I watched this anime, its art style was what really caught my eye, the cutesy shoujo style. I would also consider the 4th gen My Little Pony to be similar to this. Like, seriously, that show had a bit in common with Sailor Moon. My favorite characters are the cats, Luna and Artemis, and their daughter Diana. By far, the audience for Sailor Moon has grown today, ranging from kids to adults. Next up, we have Digimon. It's another anime dubbed by Saban, but one that rose up to being a counterpart to the Pokemon anime back in the day. Unlike the latter counterpart, Digimon followed Tai and his gang along with their digital monster companions known as Digimon, who had unique personalities and helped Tai and the gang save the world from evil Digimon. It had a good narrative for an anime similar to Pokemon, although it aired on Fox Kids, which seemed like an infamous channel, but it did have some really good anime, Digimon still feels like an underrated classic, but it did spawn numerous amount of anime and games accompanying its franchise. Similar to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, each season or series were set a few years after the previous season. That was what made Digimon special in my opinion, along with the way the monsters digivolved into stronger, better forms or other unique Digimon. True story, I found the first season for free at a used DVD store and it's still in my collection to this day. So I did watch another Pokemon-like series called Fighting Futons, which was pretty good, but also underrated. But I have to give the 5th spot to YuGiOh Duel Monsters. It was mind-blowing to watch on TV, even if I didn't know what it was at the first time. It was an epic card-based game series as if Magic the Gathering was made into something a little bit more epic. YuGiOh, however, had a good story following a young boy named Yugi Moto, who stumbles upon the Millennium Puzzle, an ancient Egyptian artifact in which he meets an ancient spirit that resides inside it, known as Yami Yugi, aka YuGiOh, or his alter ego, the King of Games. He's accompanied by his friends Joey, Taya, and Tristan, that's their names in the English dub by the way, on a journey facing fierce opponent along the way and duking it out in one-on-one intense card battles. Some characters even have that Nani movement as if they know you're already dead, or already in the Shadow Realm. I liked how the characters even formed a bond of friendship together. The last thing I want to note is that this show was dubbed by 4Kids Entertainment, who also dubbed Sonic X, Kirby Right Back Atcha, F-Zero, GP Legend, and even Pokemon. Now here's an anime that may be a bit obscure to some fans, but not as obscure as many would think. Metabots was a robot battling anime that sort of fused Pokemon with Gundam. It was another cool thing to watch back in the 90s, especially when they faced off in one-on-one combat with each other. These bots have nifty looking parts and a metal that would act as their brain and soul, plus the robot parts were interchangeable. Like I mentioned with the other anime, this adds its fair share of comedic flourishes. Any cartoon or anime with a particular art style tends to catch my interest. This one definitely takes the cake. It's sort of Shin-chan, or maybe along the lines of Yu-Gi-Oh, except simpler. Regardless, this anime is definitely worth watching. I should also mention Mr. Referee, who actually reminds me of Punch-Out Mario. Lastly, how could I forget to include this beloved classic on my list? It was of course dubbed by 4Kids Entertainment as well. Pokemon was like that childhood anime to me that took all of those English localizations that I mentioned in the 90s and turned them into a wacky fun-filled adventure. Heck, it was the first ever anime I watched based on a video game series. The show is like the original games where the creature companions only known as Pokemon joined Ash and his friends, Misty and Brock, on a quest to become the very best. Let's also not forget to mention that anime introduced one of the greatest trio of villains of all time in this anime, Team Rocket. Similar to the Timeboken trio, they had their fair share of comedic flourishes as well. Every episode tends to have a good sense of humor and its dialogue and voice acting never disappoints me. Don't get me wrong, but the modern series still holds up today for me. I'd say more about this anime, but you should definitely watch the original Pokemon, and some of the other series that followed after it. So, those are my top 7 favorite anime. Subscribe for more content and leave a like. Let me know in the comments what anime you grew up with as a kid. So, see you next time and stay cool.